I don't know about you, but this is my favorite parable that Jesus proclaims. It is so rich in imagery that is so closely related to our own hearts and to our own life experience that we can resonate with multiple characters in this account. We can resonate with the younger son, somebody who's squandered his inheritance, has been left alone, and has to return to his father in humility. We can resonate with the older brother, right? That we're working hard, we deserve, joy and happiness in this life. How is it that I'm suffering, but somebody who's not following God is flourishing? We might grapple a little bit with the older brother. We might also resonate with the father. Parents especially, how often do your children act against you and you have to be filled with compassion and mercy? This is such a beautiful account because it really does detail our individual life experience. Today, I want to follow the story of the younger brother. This account, this parable, is ordered towards giving and receiving. Notice how at the very beginning of the parable, the younger brother goes to his father and asks him, "Father, give me a share of your estate that should come to me. Me, I, filling myself." Where does that lead him? He squanders it all, and when he has nothing left, he's isolated, alone. He has taken his father's gift and did everything to please himself, and he's found with the swine. That image of this younger brother being with swine is really, really powerful because in order to understand how powerful this image is, we have to look at it from the Jewish context where the listeners would have been hearing from. So swine obviously were considered unkosher, and by many Jewish communities still considered unkosher. If you were in any way associated with pigs or swine, you were considered unclean. Your integrity as a person was negligible. Nobody wanted to be associated with you. You were isolated, alone. You couldn't be in community with the people you loved. You couldn't offer sacrifice to God. There was this overwhelming sense that even the Lord has abandoned me. This situation that the younger brother is in, he's not just a stable hand that's, working part-time. He is the epitome of alone. And he has to make a decision. What is he going to do? In his mind, he recognizes that the father's servants are better off than he is in that situation. And in that moment, his heart is reoriented to a proper disposition to what it means to receive a gift. The proper disposition is to serve, to give. So the servants now are the ones that are truly flourishing, because in the state of famine, when everyone is destitute and fending for themselves, the servants are flourishing. So what does he want to do? Reconcile himself with his father. He accepts the fact that, maybe my identity as his beloved son is no more. I will gladly serve him. What he doesn't expect is the father's response. When he goes back home, he doesn't even get to the part of, treat me as one of your hired workers. He says, I no longer deserve to be called your son. And the father is so overwhelmed with compassion and mercy, he gives him his robe. He gives him a ring, which is extremely significant because the ring was used as a symbol of identity. They would stamp their letters and stuff within the wax. They would stamp their seal with the ring, the signet ring. The father is giving him his identity again. This is an incredible moment of rejoicing, and in many ways foreshadows, it has a Christological significance. It foreshadows Christ. That Christ is the beloved Son of God. And as we heard in our second reading today, he was made to be sin. he who did not know sin, so that we might be made the righteousness of God. Meaning, he chose to take on sinfulness and give of himself for our sake. He establishes the community which is going to orient us to everlasting life. That was what the younger son, that's a foreshadowing of the younger son. So where do we go next? I want us all to take a moment and think about, here we just have this huge celebration, the father gives of his heart to his younger son. What do you think happens the next day? Huge celebration. The older brother, who knows if he entered the party or not, maybe he was really frustrated. Did they have breakfast together? Here comes the younger brother coming down the stairs with his robe, his ring. What do you think that interaction was like in that family? How many of us have screwed up and have had the awkward moments of trying to reconcile ourselves with family members or friends? The story is one of self-gift. It's a foreshadowing of what might happen when we use our gifts and fulfill ourselves and our own needs instead of thinking of the other person. We can become isolated and alone. But we must always, always, always endeavor to reestablish community, to reestablish families. Even if it hurts, even if it's not easy. Today, we are about to come forward and receive the Eucharist. The Eucharist is our inheritance that Christ won for us. It is an entry every single time we receive it into eternal life. It bolsters our hearts, it bolsters our virtue, it bolsters our love. Are we going to choose to squander that? Or are we going to use the gifts that God has given us in our life to serve our loved ones, to serve our communities, to serve those who might hate us for our faith, for our beliefs? If we choose to, first of all, the Eucharist truly is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ. I don't care what anybody else says in this world that might try to deter us from that belief. That is the heart of our faith, that the Eucharist truly is the body, blood, soul, and divinity. And when we receive it, we are configured to Christ, who has reconciled humanity to his Father. As we approach Easter, the glory of Christ's resurrection, let us give of our hearts more deeply in conversion, to reestablish the relationship with Christ and with God the Father in our own hearts, so that we may in turn give of ourselves more willingly and freely to those who really need them.